Mr. Dick Boak.
Thank you, Mr. Craig Thatcher.
Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be with you always.
This is awesome.
So excited to do this, and I was going to tell you a little bit about my background, which you know a lot about me already. But I guess from a very early age, I had an eye accident. Fascinated by vision, and I started drawing at an early age. My dad had a woodworking shop in the basement. Started trying to make
And some trains too.
trains, right? Started to try to make these crude instruments in my early teenage years. Eventually went to college, kind of entered into the hippie years. Didn't do too well in college. I went to California, chasing the hippie dream. Ended up on a commune in Northern California called Morningstar Ranch.
Star Ranch.
I was known as the architect of Morningstar because of the geodesic domes and whole earth structures that I was building. Came back from California after about 2 years and miraculously got a job teaching art at Blair Academy. And while I was teaching art at Blair, I drove from Bethlehem to Blairstown, right past Nazareth. And
Blairstown is in New Jersey.
Right.
So right over the border.
And I had to go right through Nazareth, and I saw a billboard for Martin Guitars, and I said, I didn't know anything about Martin Guitars. So I went and took the factory tour, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't even fathom it.
And what year is this?
This is 1973. And I came out of there and I said, that is a woodworker's dream. So actually I asked the receptionist if they had any scrap woods, and she said, oh yes, go around the side of the building. And had a dumpster there, and back by the loading door, and I hit the jackpot that day. The dumpster was overflowing with ebony and rosewood and spruce and mahogany and some pieces of koa, and I brought my car around and I filled it up.
Mustang, right?
Mustang, yellow Mustang. Filled up my car, came back a couple hours later and filled it up a second time. And these were small pieces, but things that I could make jewelry boxes and things out of. So I got spoiled on the Martin dumpster, and I came back to the dumpster, I'm guessing, over the course of my 4 years of teaching, about 500 times. And I filled up the shops all around the Lehigh Valley and in Blairstown and in Stowe, Vermont, where I taught for another 2 years. And I left teaching eventually and came back to the Lehigh Valley, and I started a little art gallery and kept coming back to the dumpster. So one day, I was in the dumpster. I had kind of long...
In the dumpster.
Yes. Had kind of long hair and kind of filthy from being in there. And Harvey Samuels, the foreman at the back door, came to the back, and Pennsylvania Dutch, and a lot of the workers were Pennsylvania Dutch. And he came back and he said, I saved some stuff for you. And he had a little stack of spruce with knots, things that couldn't be used for Martin Guitars. And I said, thank you. And he said, what do you do with this stuff anyhow? I've told this story so many times, I'm starting to turn into a Dutch now. I don't know what's going on.
That's Pennsylvania Dutch, folks.
So I handed up 2 guitars that I made, and he said, do you mind if I parade them around the shop once? And off he went with the 2 guitars, and he ran into Mr. Martin's, it's Chris Martin's grandfather, and who said, what do you have there, Harvey? And he said, well, look what the kid made. And CF looked at the guitars, and he said, tell that kid to apply for a job. So Harvey came back, he said, the old man says you should apply for a job. C-H-O-B. Right? So I brushed off and went around to the front, same receptionist. I said, I'd like to apply for a job. She's doing her nails. And he said, I don't think we have anything for you. And I said, well, any opening? She said, there's one opening. It's very specific, design drafting. I said, well, it just so happens I've been doing design drafting for 10 years, and I have examples of draftings in the car. Been teaching drafting for 4 years. She said, we're really looking for somebody that has some experience with woodworking. I said, well, making jewelry boxes and lathe turnings out of your scraps. And here's some examples. And she said, I'm really looking for somebody with experience with guitar making and music. I said, well, here's 2 guitars that I made, and the old man said I should apply for a job. So reluctantly, she brought somebody up.
She's trying hard.
She'd been trained to avoid people like me. So they brought somebody up from personnel, human resources, and interviewed me, and they said, could you start tomorrow? And I said, no, I have to go to the Bob Dylan concert.
Priorities.
I could start on Wednesday. So I would have done the job for free. I was so happy to be combining my love of drafting and art and woodworking and music, all together into just an amazing career. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.